What's up, Life Group leaders? Brian, I'm back again. We are already in week 4 of our Titus Saved for Good series. That means at the end of this week, we are already a third of the way done with this series. That is wild to think. We are flying through this book together. And just to summarize, so far in chapter 1, in week 2, Drew led us through this understanding of Titus 1 of the importance of godly leadership, because the leadership in the church will directly influence the doctrine of the church, the direction of the church, and the discipleship of the church. And so who we allow to lead us, to influence us, will directly influence the type of disciples that we are. And then further on in chapter 1, Paul, he doesn't make a different argument. He just continues the same argument. These false teachers, this leadership in the church in Crete, were teaching a false doctrine, a false truth, and these voices were directly influencing the church, the disciples in Crete. And instead of making them more like Jesus, they were ultimately looking more like Crete. And so Drew did a really, really good job of highlighting who are the voices that we're listening to, who are the influences who are shaping us. Because as the voices and the influences in our lives directly influences the type of people that we are, or you could say the type of disciples we are. Because our world is really, really good at making disciples. And so in week 4, Paul is still continuing his argument of chapter 1. He hasn't changed it. The importance of godly leadership and sound doctrine directly influences the discipleship of the church. But Paul, he's going to trickle down, or he's going to begin to think about what is the fruit of these false teachers' ministry. Because these false teachers, you're going to learn in this section, are teaching a gospel that is rooted in works rather than grace. And so for Paul, he's saying they are teaching a false doctrine, a false gospel, a false truth, because it's not rooted in grace that we receive by faith. It's actually rooted in trying to earn favor and merit towards God through keeping the commandments of men. Paul would use that language. And so for us, as we think about this section of the book, I think it's a really cool opportunity for us to think about this understanding that the true gospel is rooted in grace, and grace is actually what produces obedience. When we truly know God, when we truly experience the gospel, when we truly believe it, it will make us new people. We will begin to, as John the Baptist said, bear fruits in keeping with repentance. Our life will look different. So that's contrary to what these false teachers were teaching. They were saying, no, you do A, B, and C to earn favor and merit from God. That's actually flipping the gospel. The gospel says, no, we receive the mercy of God by faith through grace. And when we receive it and the Spirit takes up residence in us, we'll begin to bear fruit. We'll begin to walk in obedience. Not to earn favor from God, but because we already have love and favor from God. And so this is just a great opportunity. We live in I like to call it the belt buckle, the Bible Belt in Texas. There's a church on every single street corner around us. And so people grow up exposed to the Bible, exposed to Christianity somewhat. And a lot of times people's understanding of Christianity is rooted in works. It's rooted in, I go to church on Sunday, I try to be better than the person next to me, I try to do more good than bad so I can weigh the scale in my own favor. But Titus 1, the end of Titus 1 says, no, that's actually not the true gospel. The true gospel, the true knowledge of God will produce good works. And so for us, as we think about this, I think it's just a good opportunity for us to have conversation of in what ways are we tempted to still believe that works are the way to God rather than grace. But not just that, I would love for us to have conversations about in what ways in our life have we experienced where grace actually produces works or produces fruit. Have you seen it in your own walk with Jesus that the further you've grown in your understanding of Jesus, or you've grown in your understanding of the gospel, and the longer you've walked with Jesus, the more obedient you become, or you've bore fruits? Because the key to godliness is grace. It isn't godliness is what leads to grace, it's grace ultimately produces godliness. And so I think you have a cool opportunity with your groups to really expose that paradigm and maybe even shift the paradigm for some people who might not understand that, who may have a flawed understanding of the gospel. because the gospel frees us up to pursue life with God. It frees us up to pursue godliness, not out of fear, or that God is keeping a tally of our spiritual resume. But no, we pursue godliness because we're already forgiven. We're already justified. And we believe the Spirit now resides in us, and He's making us more like Jesus. And so excited for you guys this upcoming week. Excited for our huddle on Sunday morning. If you can be there, make every effort to be there. And I am excited for what God's going to produce through your conversations together this week in your group, but also through just spending time together, finding family. And I'll be back next week with another video as we slowly but surely work our way through the book of Titus.